So, good afternoon, everybody. Once again, good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening for people who are joining from Singapore and Southeast Asia. I welcome you all for today's e-conference on maximizing profitability through chemical supply chain optimization, organized by Indian Chemical News, India's #1 news portal on chemical, petrochemical, and energy, and supported by AspenTech, a leading industrial software partner. So the presenting partner is AspenTech. I am Pravin Prashant, Executive Editor, Indian Chemical News. I'm your host for the e-conference as well as moderator for the panel discussion. We are starting with my presentation, a short presentation from my side, followed by presentation by Dr. Warren R. Becraft, Senior Principal Solution Consultant, AspenTech. After that, so please listen to his presentation carefully because we have IC and play and win context where there is a quiz and you can win prizes. The delegates can win prizes. And he's going to present on maximizing profitability through chemical supply chain optimization. After this, we will have a panel discussion. All our speakers have already joined in. I will introduce them later, followed by question from the audience. Then we will announce the winner and then the closing note from my side. Next slide, please. Key discussion points, if you see on the screen, improving operational efficiency to enable quicker decision-making and enhancing collaboration by fostering transparency across organization supply chain, achieving inventory optimization by balancing inventory levels to meet demand while minimizing cost, gain insights into ensuring readiness for sustainability requirements and emissions monitoring to supply chain for export markets, close the gap between planned versus actual through real-time monitoring to improve your S&OP success matrix, and optimizing value chain across organization by balancing capacity, inventory, and transportation. Next slide, please. Let me introduce you to our speakers. We have Mr. Munish Rathi, Chief Manufacturing Officer, Chlor Alkali India Business, Aditya Birla Group. He has been part of Aditya Birla Group since 2007, has worked across 4 businesses, 2 geographies, India and Thailand, and in multiple functions and leadership positions, including P&L head roles. He is currently working as Chief Manufacturing Officer of the Chlor Alkali India Business. Before Aditya Birla, he worked with marquee companies like ONGC, Bharat Electronics, and Infosys. Mr. Rathi is an engineer and an MBA. He has also done various leadership programs from some of the best business schools across the globe. Our next speaker is Mr. Arun R. Salvi, Head Supply Chain Petrochemicals, Reliance Industries Limited. He's a Senior Supply Chain Management Professional, currently working as Head SCM Petrochemicals Business at Reliance Industries. Through his remarkable experience over 32 years in the field of supply chain, he has worked in diverse industries and geographies across various companies in Asia Pacific and India. During the course of this impactful career, he has successfully held several senior positions in supply chain at reputed organizations including Ultratech Cement, Ambuja Cements, Cell Lubricants, and Asian Paints. He played a pivotal role executing logistic transformation and strategic projects, including multiple mergers and acquisitions through seamless collaborations. He completed his Master of Management Studies in Operations from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, Bombay, and holds a bachelor's degree in Mechanical Engineering from Shivaji University, Kolhapur. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Dr. Prasanta Gupta, Chief Procurement Officer and Executive Vice President, Aarti Industries Limited. Dr. Prashant Gupta is an accomplished professional and a seasoned leader currently serving as the Chief Procurement Officer and Executive Vice President in Aarti Industries Limited. Dr. Gupta is recognized in the ecosystem as a thought leader, one who brought science into the arts of procurement. He is the winner of Chief Procurement Officer of the Year 2024 award from UBS Forums and recipient of Transformation Supply Chain Leader of the Year from Institute of Supply Chain Development. Under his leadership, Aarti Industries received prestigious CIPPS Asia ProcureCon Excellence Award in 2022 held in Singapore. Throughout his career spanning over 3 decades, he demonstrated exceptional leadership capabilities in various organizations, including Larsen & Toubro, Reliance Infrastructure Limited, SL Mining and Industries Limited, TIL, Caterpillar, and South Bahavan Group, Muscat, Oman. Dr. Gupta is a member of the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals, CSCMP in USA. He is also a member of the Board of Studies of the Indian Institute of Materials Management, IIMM. Dr. Warren Becraft, Senior Solution Consultant, AspenTech. He's acting also as a trusted advisor for manufacturing supply chain solutions for clients across Asia Pacific region for over 30 years. Warren's expertise covers supply chain management, manufacturing execution, production, accounting, engineering simulation, AI, and solution architecture, enabling sustainability and operational excellence initiatives for clients in oil and gas, refining, chemicals, polymers, specialty chemicals, and other process industries. Warren has a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from the University of Oklahoma in Norman, a doctorate in philosophy in chemical engineering and artificial intelligence from University of Queensland in Brisbane, and was a JSPS postdoctoral research fellow in the biophysical engineering department at the University of Osaka, where he was researching hierarchical neural network structures based on human visual system. So I would like to thank all my speakers who took time out from the busy schedule to be part of today's panel discussion. A slide on ICN play and win contest. I will be asking questions from the audience after the Becraft presentation. And the delegate who responds first with the correct answer stands eligible for a winning ₹1,000 gift voucher from Amazon. All the questions will be asked by the moderator and the replies need to be given in the chat window. I would request all the replies need to be given in the chat window box of your respective screen on Zoom platform. Final winners will be announced at the close of the e-conference. Terms and conditions. Only the person with the correct answer responding first in order of priority shall be declared winner. Organizer and sponsored partner employees are not eligible to participate in the contest. Organizer's decision to be and gift vouchers to be sent electronically to all the winner post completion of the session. Next slide. Just a slide on our flagship event, which is Next Gen Chemicals and Petrochemical Summit, which we are doing today in July 11-12 at Novotel, Bombay International Airport. The topics that we are covering here, next slide, is on specialty chemicals, digitization and automation, R&D and innovation, petrochemicals, battery, semicon and bio-based chemicals, construction chemicals, and hydrogen. So I would request you to join on those dates. Next slide, please. So thank you all. My details are out there. My partner details, Yogesh Joshi, is also out here. So in case you require anything from our side, please feel free to contact us either through email or through mobile. So thank you once again. And I would now invite Dr. Warren R. Becraft, Senior Principal Solution Consultant, Asia Pacific AspenTech, to give his presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Pravin. I appreciate the chance today to present to the India Chemical News e-conference on maximizing profitability through chemical supply chain optimization. For those of you who are not familiar with AspenTech, we'll do a brief overview of AspenTech with showing some examples of our supply chain customers. And then we'll go into the supply chain management solution, which covers all of the business processes that we, from very long-term strategic manufacturing optimization through S&OP, IBP, and finally sales and operations execution. So AspenTech has been around for over 40 years. We started off as in the chemical engineering department of MIT during the energy crisis in the 70s, funded by the Department of Energy in the US, developing digital twin technology, if you can imagine that back in the day. Since then, we've grown substantially, providing leading optimization software for the capital-intensive industries, process industries. We have over 3,000 customers worldwide. We have partnerships around the world, and we generate almost $60 billion in profit for our customers. Also, the last few years, there's been a major focus on sustainability, and we're assisting our clients in reducing their CO2 emissions through our solutions. We cover the full range of the process industries from energy, chemicals, spec chem, life sciences, and have clients both as large multinational corporations and smaller national companies as well. Particularly in specialty chemicals, we have customers such as Dow, Momentive, Westlake, Perstorp, Croda, Celanese, Infinium, covering many different specialty chemicals for planning and scheduling. And in the polymers industries, we have a very strong group of customers utilizing our solutions all the way from the polyolefins, fibers, fluoropolymers, and so forth. So companies, again, like Dow, Repsol, Curare, Momentive, have very large scale rollouts of our supply chain solutions. Recently, we held our own conference, a global user conference in Houston, Texas, called Optimize 2024. And specialty chemical companies such as Albemarle, Perstorp, Croda, Dow, Momentive, all presented customer success stories showing things such as achieving 20% increase in capacity through better scheduling. And our solutions help our customers achieve higher levels of sustainability, agility, and profitability through supply chain excellence, winning some top awards around the world. From the Supply and Demand Chain Executive, we won a top supply chain project. And for 2 years running, we won a Green Supply Chain Award through our work with FPCO in Japan. And just a little bit of detail that we'll provide on the project that won the top supply chain award. This was Repsol, which is an olefins polymers manufacturer in Spain and Portugal across 3 different sites and businesses. Of course, they had very siloed approach to supply chain, planning and scheduling, optimization. It was very difficult for them to see the trade-offs between changes in one part of the organization and how that would impact the overall profitability of the company. So they enlisted our assistance with end-to-end digital control tower of their supply chain, using our planning and scheduling solutions, demand forecasting, production and scheduling, distribution optimization across their enterprise, and received a 10 times return on investment with a 6-month payback period. So if we look at all of the work processes across the traditional supply chain horizons, we have very long-term forward-looking visibility, looking at strategic manufacturing optimization, strategic economic studies. Then, of course, we have the medium-term planning, which is typically in the sales and operations planning or integrated business planning horizon. And then, of course, we have the shorter-term planning and scheduling, which is sales and operations execution, looking at the next few months down to a continuous time to minutes, and then monitoring that as we execute those production and distribution schedules. So it's a bit of a waterfall process where at the longer term horizon planning, we have our ongoing decisions about where to make investments, what are the product mixes that we want to have going into the future, what do we do about sustainability, and then once we have those targets, then moving down to the medium-term planning of S&OP, we're typically looking out at the next 18 to 24 months on a tactical level. This is usually at the monthly buckets or weekly buckets across those 18 to 24 months. In that medium-term planning, we set up our production targets, inventory targets for each of the time periods, and those are then passed down to the shorter-term planning and scheduling or sales and operation execution, which produces detailed production schedules and distribution schedules for the next 3 months down, in daily buckets down to minutes. But we're not finished yet. We need to then monitor how these plans and schedules are executed, control them, and optimize them. And of course, we need the feedback loops to improve and keep our scheduling models and planning models in tune with what we can actually do on the plant floor and across our supply chain. So the feedback and calibration loops are extremely important. Now, at the shorter term planning and scheduling, we would typically do that on a site-by-site basis. So each site would then optimize the production schedule for its different production assets, and then those would then feed back into the more enterprise-wide medium-term S&OP planning. And at each level, we want to optimize and use industrial AI to provide agility to respond to changing market conditions, changing supply network issues, and production capabilities at the asset and plant levels, but also ensuring profitability and sustainability as we generate those plans and schedules. If we look at it from an Aspen One supply chain management solution, at the strategic manufacturing optimization level, the longer term planning, we have our Aspen supply chain planning solution that takes a holistic view of the entire enterprise, from raw material procurement through decisions about production at different sites and different production assets, down to distribution. Where do we maintain inventories? What inventory levels do we maintain? And then being able to run various economic scenarios. Then in the medium-term level for the integrated demand planning and supply chain planning, we have our Aspen Collaborative Demand Management and Aspen Supply Chain Planner solutions. And then moving down to the shorter-term S&OE process, we have our Aspen Plant Scheduler, Distribution Scheduling, and Aspen Scheduler Explorer. All of these, of course, have to integrate to and interact with the ERP systems as the systems of record, pulling master data, demand data, and passing back demand forecasts, supply plans, and schedules back to the ERP. And then at the lower level, we need to make sure we have alignment between our planners and schedulers and the operations and logistics teams that are executing those. So it's important to have that collaboration piece to ensure everybody is working together. At the strategic manufacturing level, we're really looking at running different scenarios on a very much longer term, 3, 5, 10, even 20 years into the future, looking at where we should make investments in our supply chain. Do we need to change the products that we're going to deliver in the future, and how will that impact the current production assets we have? Do we need to expand capacities at different sites and different locations depending on how the demand grows in those regions? And also with sustainability and net zero goals becoming more important, where do we make investments in terms of sustainability, and how can we meet sustainability regulations, carbon caps, carbon taxes, and make the most profitable decisions in investing in our supply network to make sure the company remains profitable going forward. And then as we move down to the tactical level of sales and operations planning, we go through a traditional S&OP process of deciding the demand planning process, what goods are going to be sold and what revenue is going to be produced. And then those sales targets, demand targets, are passed down to the supply planning process, which then puts the constraints on the demand plan based on our production capacity, distribution capacities, and where we're and in capacity limited situations, we can't meet all possible demands. What priorities do we give to certain demands, certain customers? Is it strategic? Is it based purely on profitability? And those constraints then generate our target supply plan, inventory plans, and constrained demand plan. Then we move into the pre-S&OP meeting where we agree between the marketing and sales with the demand plan and the production supply and supply teams to balance out those supply and demands. Maybe we run different scenarios, decide which course of action to take, discussing the risks and how do we meet those risks, manage those risks, and then set the agenda for the executive S&OP meeting. And this is where the final approval is given for the organization to move forward, and then published out as a single plan, which becomes the operational plan for the company. So demand forecasting is the start of this process, and we need to balance out supply and demand. We need to understand what products are the customers going to buy, when are they going to buy them, and in what quantities. And then to this process, given a specific demand forecast, how do I utilize my existing capacity and assets? And then if I'm capacity limited, which customers and products and demands get priority? How do I mitigate against the risks? So the first part of the solution is our Aspen Collaborative Demand Manager solution, which we generate the highly accurate demand forecast going out into the future using both historical data and market intelligence to tune those forecasts and produce the best possible demand signals that then go down to supply planning. With the solution at Aspen CDM, we can identify demand patterns that are readily forecastable by the system and automate those processes, allowing the demand planner to focus on just those key demands, demand signals that require human input. Is it a highly variable demand signal? Is it a large demand volume? If so, we need to ensure that the forecast for those demands we have some collaboration with the market to ensure we're getting accurate forecasts. Now, we don't have to all be statisticians to utilize this solution. We have over 35 different forecasting algorithms, including new machine learning algorithms as part of the forecast. But really, you want a solution that will run all of these different algorithms, select the best possible algorithm to use for that particular data set, and give you an optimal forecast. And so that's what we've provided in the solution. However, it's not just the demand forecast that being generated by the system that's important. It's getting the feedback from the field, from the marketing people, from the sales people, from the product managers, and also possibly key customers that you're giving a forecast for. And they have intimate market knowledge. They have knowledge about their own business that would then adjust the forecast that your demand planner is publishing out. So some key work processes around getting a good demand forecast. The main one is ongoing discipline conditioning of history. So we start off with the historical demands, but there may be things like outliers in the demand where we had either a spike in demand or we had a sudden drop in demand due to some unusual reason or event. Maybe a major customer shut down for 2 months to have a turnaround, or maybe they had a fire at the factory. And so our demand was very unusual. That's not likely to happen again. So identifying the outliers in the demand and removing them so we have a good data set to forecast from, whether it's statistical forecasting or machine learning forecasting. Also in the chemicals industry, we have situations where maybe we are introducing new products into the market, we're getting new customers, or maybe we're distributing to customers from a different location to meet their demands. So we have no history of that particular product, customer, or distribution center. So we have to do things like realigning history, taking similar sales and demand histories from similar products, similar customers, and realigning them to the new customers so that we have a basis from which to start forecasting. And then once we start gathering the actual sales data for those new customers and products, then that will slowly overtake the realigned history that we've been using. And then we have events. What happens to the demand if we have specific events? It could be a weather event, it could be a sporting event, public holiday, an election that might have an impact on the demands. And we need to somehow adjust the history to account for that so that when we forecast forward, we have a good demand signal, high demand accuracy. But it's not just the forecast, it's the collaboration element is very important. So once we publish out the forecast, having the key stakeholders, whether it's sales reps, whether it's territory managers, product managers, even, as I mentioned before, key customers, opening up the system in a web-based collaborative environment to have their input and feedback changes to the forecast for the areas that they're responsible for. So maybe the customer knows that they're going to have a promotion in the next couple of months to sell a certain product, and we'll order more material from you. So that information is not captured or not able to be captured in historical data. So we have the collaborative forecasting platform to feed that back to the demand planner, process the overrides, and then republish the working forecast. So in the web-based platform, it's of course secure role-based logins. Users log in with their specific usernames and IDs. They can only see the forecast numbers that they're responsible for, and they're only allowed to adjust certain numbers. So in this particular case, those white cells are the numbers into the future. We're currently running in October. They can change the forecast numbers for the next month and the following months, but they can't change the statistical forecast or the business plan because those have already been set. Every time someone needs to change a forecast number, they need to enter a reason for it. They need to submit a reason back to the demand planner. Why are they changing this number? And then what is how much they're changing it to? And then as that change comes back to the demand planner will look at the reasons and either accept the change to the forecast or modify it or reject it outright. The next step of the S&OP plan is, of course, supply planning. This is where we take the demand forecast and then we put constraints on it based on our production capabilities, our distribution capabilities, tiering and hierarchy of demands, and then doing a holistic optimization across raw material procurement, production, inventory holdings, and distribution. And in certain situations, prioritizing which demands do we meet. Can we put back orders on certain demands that don't impact us or the client? And then optimizing that across the end-to-end extended value chain. One of the key things now with supply chain optimization is now we have to include sustainability in that equation. And we'll show you in just a minute how we can do that with the objective function. In supply chain planning, we also need the ability to run different what-if scenarios to possibly meet new market demands, so take advantage of market opportunities. Maybe we have a spot demand. Can we meet that? Is it worth it? Are we getting enough margin for that demand? Or do we have supply chain issues? Do we have a trucker strike that we're not able to deliver out of that one particular distribution center? What are the options? How do we work around those? So we run different scenarios and decide what is the best path of action to take forward in our supply plan. The key to this is making sure that the supply planner can focus on key elements that require his attention. So where we have urgent exceptions, maybe demand shortfalls, or maybe we have inventory issues, and letting them drill down into those issues, seeing the details, seeing the specific demands that are affected, the specific production activities or distribution activities that impact that, and respond to it, possibly putting on additional labor at a packing plant to make sure we can drive throughput and ship out product to customer on time. The other key element of supply planning is being able to understand the solution that an optimizer gives you. Excuse me. So it's no longer sufficient to put it in a black box and come up with numbers and have everybody buy in. You need to be able to understand how the solution was reached and what are the different options that you have when you do have bottlenecks. So having this X-ray vision of the optimization solution, showing you where are the key elements of the supply network that are constraining meeting those particular demands, as well as what different options do we have? What is the shadow pricing of producing a product at a different location or providing a different distribution mode of transport to get that product to the customer? And then looking at the results, not only in a tabular format like Excel, but also in a graphical format, being able to very easily and quickly understand what the supply network is doing across the supply time horizon. You know, what are the movements of material from production sites to distribution sites and to customers? And then being able to drill down into the details of those movements to see what shipments are actually being delivered when and in what volumes. So I mentioned sustainability before, and the key in supply chain optimization is the objective function. We want to maximize our profitability. We start with what sales can we generate this month and the next months coming up in the time horizon. But we also have to take into account the costs, purchasing, production, distribution, inventory. And those all have different capacity and constraints to them. So production, we have capacity limits. Distribution, we have transportation modes and lane restrictions. And now with CO2, we can incorporate that into the objective function to provide a cost to those CO2 emissions and then maximize the profitability, taking into account those CO2 costs, those CO2 limits, whether there are specific carbon taxes or net zero goals, and whether they're in the CO2 is produced as part of production or as part of your distribution costs. So as we move from S&OE planning down to S&OE scheduling, these do, as you saw in the first chart, there is a waterfall effect. There's an exchange of information. So we have the constrained forecast. We have the production and inventory targets being passed from planning down to scheduling. So in planning, we've set up the economic optimization. What is the most profitable supply plan based on the constraints we have? And those targets are generally monthly targets. And those are passed then down to detailed operational feasibility scheduling so that we can then schedule the specific production assets, the inventories to meet specific customer demands. So it's based on operational feasibility. So the objectives of planning is economic optimization, and the objective of scheduling is operational feasibility. At the scheduling level, we have Aspen production schedule, Aspen plant scheduler. We can also configure it for distribution scheduling optimization as well. We have a user-friendly Gantt chart of the production assets and showing all the different production activities in a continuous timeline. So instead of scheduling in Excel like people normally do, and there you may have daily buckets in your Excel cells, we can see continuous time. So particularly in specialty chemicals and polymers, where a batch may not particularly run a full day. Maybe it's just a 2 or 3 hour batch. Then we transition over to another grade. We might have a clean in place, which utilizes existing capacity on that while it's being cleaned. Or we might have an off-spec grade transition from one grade to another grade in polymers. The goal here then is to capture that lost production and minimize that lost production, increasing production capacity through better scheduling by going down to continuous time representation and optimizing the sequencing to meet demands just in time. So we have the visual scheduling. We can also have drag and drop. So once the schedule is generated and optimized, the scheduler can interact with the schedule and drag and drop activities to look at different scenarios. Underlying it all, we need a very realistic model of the production assets and distribution assets. So it's no good if you generate a schedule that's not representative of what your plant can execute. Otherwise, operations will just ignore the schedule. We can include CO2 emissions calculations. So as the schedule is updated or modified, you can see the CO2 emissions that have changed with new scheduling. And we also support things such as campaign wheels and product wheels, which is traditionally used in polymers and spec chem to manage the schedule and sequence of production produced on a particular line. So it's important in the scheduling model to represent all of the different assets and representations of purchasing and arrivals of raw material at the plant through to fulfillment of orders and shipping out from the plant the orders and forecasts. Being able to track and trace materials as it moves through the different stages of production, as also seeing the inventory profiles going out into the future if this particular schedule is executed. And we want to optimize the schedule. So we have everything from the interactive manual scheduling, dragging and dropping to create a new schedule, seeing the simulated results, through the use of business rules such as product wheels, campaigning, labor constraints, tiered pricing, to full-blown optimization using AI, machine learning, sequencing optimization algorithms, linear programming, or mixed integer programming. And we're trying to optimize three different competing objectives in the profit maximization. We want to make sure our customers are serviced well, on time, in full deliveries. We want to have manufacturing efficiency by reducing transition costs, reducing expediting costs and production costs. And we also want to maintain, reduce our inventory working capital, maintaining lower days of inventory and safety stocks, and optimizing all of these competing objectives. But we also want to publish out and ensure that everybody, all of the stakeholders of the production assets, see the current production schedule, or possibly different variations of it in scenarios, as well as historical schedules, and communicate in real time back and forth. So if there's a situation that's happening on the plant floor, the scheduler is notified. Maybe there's a delay in a particular batch. Maybe there's a quality issue found by the lab, and that gets fed back into the scheduler saying, we need to hold that particular batch longer. But having a web-based collaboration platform to keep everybody in alignment, from planning and scheduling through operations, through the lab, and through sales and marketing. So the two views of the schedule, the top one is the web-based view. It's a read-only schedule. Only the stakeholders can see the schedule, but they can collaborate, comment back and forth. And then these go back in real time to the scheduler, who's actually working on changing the schedule, optimizing the schedule, running different scenarios. So as users comment and put in their feedback, that goes live back to the scheduler, and he can make immediate changes to the schedule, publish out a new version of the schedule to adjust to what's happening on the plant floor. We can also link to the MES layer and have automated updates of as the batch is being executed. It will trigger certain events in the MES layer, which then can be passed up to the Schedule Explorer, notifying everybody what is the status of that production on the platform, on the plant floor automatically, and then people can respond to it. We can also track goals versus actuals. So we publish out the goals from the scheduling. What is the weekly goal? What is the monthly goal? And then track it in real time against the actual production with a KPI dashboard, drilling down into trend plots of the actual production against the goal that was published out by the scheduler. If a particular production doesn't meet our goal, operators can go into this tool, enter their comments or reasons why it didn't happen, and then that can go back into your Kaizen process of ever improving. We can also integrate down the scheduling tool down to other layers of the technologies, going all the way down to the data foundation sitting on top of the DCS, through advanced process control, grade transition management, recipe management, prescriptive maintenance, and then finally operations, execution, and collaboration. And by synergistically linking all of these capabilities, we can generate additional benefits that's just not possible through scheduling in an Excel spreadsheet. And I want to wrap up with a case study of one of our polymer customers who have integrated their advanced process control, APC, with our Aspen plant scheduling solution. This helped them provide faster transitions from grade to grade on the polymer lines, which then enabled the scheduling tool to have different choices when it's trying to optimize the transitions to produce the product to meet the customer demands. So they were able to unlock this synergy by integration of APC and scheduling, and we did see a 20% throughput improvement just through this integration. So I think I've reached my limit today. I appreciate everyone's time, and I'm sure I'll pass it back to you, Mr. Pravin.
Thank you, Dr. Warren R. Becraft, for a very informative and a comprehensive presentation. I hope people in the supply chain as well as in the production planning, it will be of a great help to the chemical and the petrochemical industry. Without wasting any time, I would now go for the IC clay and wing contest. I request there will be 5 questions, and there will be a MCQ kind of a which will be displayed on the screen. And I would request all of you to please put your answers on the chat window so that, and whoever gives the correct answer the first, he will be recognized as the winner. So my first question, AspenTech has solutions to address which of the following planning horizons? Long-term strategic economic evaluations, A, medium-term tactical planning, SNOP, IBP, C, short-term scheduling and execution, SNOE, D, all of the above. So let me then move with the second question. Sales and operations planning, SNOP, and IBP, which is integrated business planning, cover which of the following supply chain activities? Demand forecasting, supply planning, B, production scheduling, C, manufacturing execution, D, and E, A and B only. So now we move to the third part, which is what is the difference in the objectives between planning and scheduling? A, there is no difference. B, planning is done monthly and or annually, while scheduling is a weekly or daily activity. C, planning is driven by economic optimization over the longer term, while scheduling addresses operational feasibility over the short term. D, B, and C. Moving to the fourth part, sales and operation execution, SNOE, involves which teams? Sales and marketing, A, and planning scheduling, A, B, production operations, C, maintenance, laboratory and logistics, D, all of the above. And now I am coming to the last question. Optimization of a production schedule tries to meet which of the following objectives? A, follow a fixed product wheel to make it easy on the operators. B, produce material just in time to meet demand on time in full. C, reduce transition cost, recover lost production capacity and minimize inventories. D, respond to unplanned events such as equipment downtime, material shortages or delays, and urgent orders in the best possible way. And E, B, C, and D. So we have received a good response. My team at the back end will evaluate who the winners are, and after the panel discussion, we will announce the winners. So without wasting any time, let me move to the panel discussion topic. And the topic today is maximizing profitability through chemical supply chain optimization. I've already introduced my speakers to you. So straight away jumping to the first question to Dr. Prasanta Gupta, and he represents Chief Procurement Officer and Executive Vice President, Aarti Industries Limited. So my question to him would be, what are the challenges faced with respect to planning and scheduling in the manufacturing process to meet the complexities and disruptions to tackle varying demands of customers, and how are you planning to overcome that? So over to Dr. Prashanta Gupta.
Happy afternoon, everyone. And my sincere thanks to Pravin ICN for giving me this opportunity to talk to this forum. Let's jump into the issue, the question specifically. The challenges are basically, if you look into the challenges are in three folds. One is the sales and marketing, the team, what they faces. Second is the manufacturing. And third is the most critical challenge is in the, the supply chain. Now, integrated business plan, as Mr. Warren has mentioned, that probably is a good solution. And most of the companies, manufacturing companies, they follow this. But what if in case of any, disruptions, some complexities, how do you tackle that situation? Because this integrated business plan, that may not work the way you planned. So here, the key is the collaboration. And the collaboration, how do we collaborate more neatly so that we are in a position to absorb that shock, suddenly what comes. So how does it happen? Our business, our success in business depends on our business partners who supports us in supplying materials or the services. So generally we call them as the vendor or contractors. But if we can convert them into a low risk business partners, they come in rescue. How? When you talk to them, and if we convert them from a simple supplier or the contractor to a low risk business partners through assessing at the time of onboarding the risk factor associated with this collaboration. When the situation demands, they come out of the way and supports us. How? That is one part of this, what way we are planning. So what we are doing here, we are specifically identifying the low risk partners and entering into long-term contracts with them. The long-term contracts, when you go for, there are some commitment, of course, comes along with that. How this commitment, in case of disruptions, the commitments are going to miss, or when you give, so then that is the essence of long-term contract. It comes into picture. If, like say, we give an order and our procurement based on our annual plan, integrated plan, and procurement plan, we finalize the order with them, and we schedule the supplies, the deliveries in sequences. So that is against the NTP, notice to proceed. We understand from them how much time it takes to produce that particular batch, what they're going to supply to us. If before that time, if we give them the notice to proceed, they are also in a position, they will not pile up their stocks and all. And this becomes a win-win situation. The more important part is this: what are the risks associated in our business, in supply chain in specific, in case of complexities or disruptions? Once we identify those and try to mitigate that for the future readiness, that there too, specifically, as Warren is also mentioned, like AI, ML. How does it happen? Basically, these are the lagging indicators and the leading indicators. The AI, it works on the lagging indicators. So what is the trend for last 3 to 5 years time or 1 year time? What has happened? Long, mid-term, short-term, long-term, what has happened? Based on this analysis, and based on the market intelligence, if we analyze and if we convert that into analytics, which rolls out through machine learning, then we'll do a proper job. We can mitigate our risk to a large extent. One more very important part is I need to mention here. That is the capability of the team who is going to handle this situations. The capability development, there is no rocket science and there is no shortcut method for the capability development. The capability development comes through different process. Like one example I'll give, we started doing in Aarti Industries a negotiation factory. This is a negotiation factory. It's a capability development program. What are the negotiations or in one fortnight time we do? Be it a very critical procurement or a very large volume or a large value procurement, we make a case study out of those. And then, because when they come to me for the approval, say, I give some specific tips or this to be reviewed, this to be done again and all. But the entire team, entire supply chain team are unaware of this on this particular case. So what we do, every fortnightly, every second and fourth Thursday of the month, I take a session with the team, entire team, and I call it a negotiation factory. There, we make those cases as a very small, short case studies, and we present to the team and take their view, what could have been better than this? And the brainstorming session through there, it comes out, we ask the open question to every team member, what do you feel would have been better than this? What do you feel we should do in the next time in this type of scenarios? So then what happens now? That creates a culture of innovation. it comes out, we move from cost-centric procurement to the innovation-driven supply chain management. It also, motivate people and then engagement and empowerment so they can take the decisions at the right time as and when some disruption comes up, because these are our learning for last 4-5 years. Disruptions are going to even more in the way forward. So that future readiness is very, very important. And through that process, the learning agility builds up. And the resilience automatically, these are the commonly used words in the industry nowadays, that further strengthens and goes into the DNA of the team, which helps the entire team, entire organization as a whole, not only the supply chain, to mitigate that risk and handle those disruptions and come stronger for the future, along with the future readiness.
Thank you, Dr. Prasanta. Let me come back to now with the second part. How do you achieve inventory optimization by balancing inventory levels to meet demand while minimizing cost? And I would request Mr. Munish Rathi from Aditya Birla Group, if he can give his views, followed by Mr. Arun or Salvi from Reliance Industries, and then Dr. Prashant Gupta. So over to Mr. Munish Rathi.
Well, thank you, Pravin, first of all, for this opportunity. A very informative presentation by Mr. Warren. Thank you for that. So your topic right now about achieving inventory optimization. Though most of the companies have some set of protocol to define minimum inventory, maximum inventory, and try to follow it. But as we say that we are living in a VUCA world, there are unprecedented changes, unknown changes which keep on happening. So we try to address them as well. But fundamentally, there are different kinds of products every industry is dealing with. We are dealing with basic chemicals, intermediate chemicals on product side, and on feedstock and raw material side, the simplest raw material starting from salt to produce caustic soda to some solvents and specialty chemicals which are used for performance enhancement, etc. So we classify our inventory management and optimization approach on the basis of the product that we are dealing with. In some cases, inventory minimization is not the objective. The objective in some cases is also inventory securitization. In some cases, when we see that, let's say the logistic cost is much higher. I gave the example of salt. My logistics cost for salt is higher than the cost of raw material. Then I try to optimize the overall cost of ownership for a given period of time, and rather than only focusing upon the inventory carrying cost. But it's a comprehensive, I would say, solution, and one solution doesn't fit all. There are certain cases where the inventory is designed or controlled by the government regulations. So one of our product, for example, chlorine, it is decided by the government how much we can keep at a particular site. So those are the limitations that we built into our planning mechanism. And lastly, the other variables like whether the materials are locally available, whether they are imported, whether they are directly procured from the traders, are they hazardous in nature, non-hazardous in nature. So there are different solutions for different kind of products on raw material side as well as on the FG side. Having said that, some of the tools, a more comprehensive tool Warren has exhibited in the presentation, but we have our own internal tools which sit on either SAP kind of ERP or some other application which have been developed internally or through third parties, which help us in optimizing inventory basis the customer forecasts. We do the rolling forecast and which rolls back up to our procurement process. So this encompasses the whole chain from supply to customer service, about nature of product, about logistics involved, and also about availability either at the local level or at the international level.
Thanks, Munishji. Now I request Arunji to give your views on achieving inventory optimization by balancing inventory levels to meet demand while minimizing cost, and then followed by Dr. Prasanta.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Pravin, and also Arun, for a very detailed presentation covering all aspects of planning and optimization. And good, I think, start to the panel from Prasanta ji and Munish, Rathi ji. In terms of inventory optimization, when I look at, of course, we all talked about, and Arun did share tools basically. But when I look at components of inventory, largely related to safety stocks, and they might be kept for a variety of reasons. Munish covered that a little bit, basically, in terms of the strategy behind these safety stocks, which is could be customer based, could be in terms of whether they are imported or local, and could be whether they are specific grades which are produced at a particular cycle in terms of your manufacturing. And that's the way we look at it. Of course, the tools that are used in terms of the planning cycle, the APO looks at the entire order to cash cycle in terms of all the inputs which have come in from our sales teams, regional teams, and of course our business managers, and the rules which are laid down in terms of to optimize. Now we do in this uncertain world, we do have challenges which normally come across, but some of the main ones which really come in terms of our role towards inventory optimization is largely related to our manufacturing side. If I take at, they would have planned, unplanned shutdowns. And this definitely has to be taken care. If it is included in the planning cycles, then fine. Otherwise, if it is in the middle of the planning cycles, then we do have inventory optimization decisions to be taken. Shutdowns, I talked about our own. Similar, I think this point was covered earlier by Arun as well in terms of the tool when he's explaining, and I made a particular note of it. In terms of competition, you have competition supplying goods which are in the similar markets or in terms of a plant shutdown related. And therefore, how do we capitalize on inventory or optimize during this period? Both from a raw material point of view as well as from a finished good point of view becomes very, very important. And that's something which is related to, apart from competition, currently we have been having geopolitical situations, which especially for imports and exports has been impacting the whole inventory optimization rules which have been set down, and therefore the necessary agility that needs to come. Overall, domestic consumption, and when I look at the last mile, or I would say between the primary and the secondary, especially when you have a large warehouse network across the country to service your demand. And then, of course, which level, which echelon of inventory do you want to keep? I think that also plays a role in terms of our inventory optimization. Transition grades, I think this point also was covered, but I would just like to speak on this particular point, which is definitely could not necessarily be high volumes, but it could be specific in terms of high contribution, and therefore may require specialized handling, specialized production, or your efficiency could be consumed higher or lower, and therefore they need to be specially planned. Otherwise, in the overall optimization scenario, they could be left out, and therefore similar grades, transition grades which require changeover or downgrading, I think these impact the decisions of inventory optimization. In terms of tools, I would say that different levels, right from manufacturing sites to production to warehouses, the inventory, at least the rules could be different. And therefore, something like aging of stocks or basically managing this process through the IBP process becomes important. And that's where the retro analysis in terms of how better decisions could have been done, which are not been planned in the tool, I think help you reflect better in terms of inventory planning. That's all. You are on mute, sir.
Dr. Prashanta, any additional
Yeah.
that you'd like to add?
So I think Arun and Munish has covered most part of it, and they have really mentioned all the criticalities of the inventory management and how do you optimize this. Minimization of inventory is not actually the ask. Ask is how can you optimize this. So one good thing can be done in this, what we practice. What is there is a benchmark called ERV, like the equivalent replacement value. Like means in better time, simplified term, it can be called as what is the total asset available in the organization and how much is the inventory you have and how much you should have. For the indirect procurement, other than the raw materials, these value in the chemical sector and the petrochemical, it's around 2%. So 2% of the asset value. So how to reach that? When we have done this analysis about 15 months back, we found in Aarti Industries, we found the number was 3.81. It's almost double. Then how to make it happen? We have gone for the consolidation. How can we bring that centralized stores concept, like that we all do that ABC analysis, VD analysis and all. If we keep the stocks in one place, of course, considering the logistic time it requires to move from one tent to another, and if that consolidation is done, then there could be, we can avoid the procurement and reduce and optimize the inventory. And in the process, I'm happy to share, March end 31st of March, we brought this number down to 2.03 without having any impact, negative impact in our production, without any stoppage of supplies or anywhere in any of our plants. Now, one more thing, is it enough? If in industry basis, if we do, say, Arun, Munish, me, we do it in our industry, is that enough? I don't think so. Right at this moment, the need is why repeat it, maybe all the three different organizations are stocking the same item. Some of the items which may not be required every day. Maybe it's required, have got some specific life cycle. So can we form some consortium, share our inventory to each other and make a common pool for the common interest of the industry? A thought. Recently, I reached out to 93 organizations in the specialty chemical and pharma. So, and I got a very, very encouraging feedback from them. Yes, this is doable. What are the common interest areas? This is inventory is one, because we can exercise the circular economy, which addresses all the concerns of today, including the sustainability. So if as a professional, if we fuel that idea, I think we will have a definitely greener future.
Thank you, Dr. Prashanta. I now come to the third part, and it is related to the balancing planning and operations to reduce margin leakage, reduce energy consumption and emissions, and maximize profitability through chemical supply chain optimization. And I request Dr. Warren or Becraft, if he can throw some light on this, followed by Dr. Prashanta Gupta.
Yeah.
And I would also request our delegates to please type questions on the chat window so that after the panel discussion, we will take all your questions and our experts will try to answer them, as many as possible. So over to Dr. Warren R. Becraft.
Yeah, so I mean, as we've seen among many customers, a lot of them are still doing planning and scheduling on Excel and using email to communicate those results. What really needs to be done is a change, looking at digital twin technology even for supply chain. So having that digital twin that accurately represents your production processes and your distribution network to generate and be able to run different scenarios and determine the most profitable responses to market opportunities, production issues, supply chain failures, and collaborate, publish that out to a platform where all of the stakeholders can then feed back into the process and respond to the plans and schedules that are being publicized. So it's quite important to have that underlying digitization to automate the process, first of all, of capturing the information in real time from the various systems of record, whether it's an ERP, whether it's an MES system at the plant level, capturing the plant production data, but bringing that data in automatically. I mean, we've seen far too often where planners and schedulers have to go out and manually grab data, collect data, clean it up, put it in their spreadsheet, spend a few hours to a few days generating a new plan or a new schedule. And by that time, either the opportunity has passed or the profitability margin has been reduced. So it's very important to, first of all, automate the process and then optimize those processes. So optimize the supply plan, taking into account the holistic view, get out of the silo-based optimization. One part of the enterprise does have an impact on another part of the enterprise. So look at it holistically, and then take it down to the execution layer through scheduling. So having that continuous time view of your production assets and of your distribution assets, and capturing that lost capacity that is normally lost in daily buckets in Excel spreadsheets. So I really think that is the way forward. I mean, we have various technologies such as the web, the cloud, AI that can help that. But it's really, you've got to digitize, automate, optimize, and then collaborate. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Prashanta, your views?
Yeah. Thanks, Warren. See, basically, we need to move into the cost-benefit analysis decision making. Like, say, how much inventory we should have and at what cost. If we, if some item is required and some of the materials are required, and if that is not available in time, what will be the cost of this? The opportunity loss. So based on the cost-benefit analysis, if we design the inventory level and how much would be the ROL, ROQ, and how come the other stakeholders in the organization in the collaborative way, they add value to this, that will bring the holistic view in the organization, and everybody will align on the cost benefit, clarity on the cost benefit analysis, to what cost and this contributes to which factor. Now coming back to you're on call, that's why I'm just took a pause. Okay. So now what are the lagging indicators available with us? If we look into the last 3-4 years consumption patterns and all those, as I already mentioned, based on that gives us a picture. Now, data is available in the system. Data will come from different corners. The most challenging task for the supply chain professionals at the moment is the data validation. If the data are not correct, if it's incorrect data, ML or that leading indicators will take us to a different direction, and it would be catastrophic. So the most important role the inventory control team or the supply chain professionals need to do the data validation. Based on that, definitely the cost benefit analysis will be driven.
Thank you, Dr. Prasanta. We come to the fourth part, and it's about how does real-time monitoring help in improving sales and operation planning, S&OP metrics, which helps in maximizing profitability. And I would request Mr. Munish Rathi to give his views. So over to Mr. Munish Rathi.
So, when you are talking about real-time monitoring, so it basically goes to the execution level. So it's no longer at the planning level. And what we have to hit in terms of maximizing profitability is in very simple words. Demand has to be there from the market. You produce efficiently, and the product keeps on moving. So as long as that turnaround is happening, then your profitability maximization is, so to say, assured. So while we have various parameters to influence, but in my view, if we have to just simplify this to the one single factor that can really help the organizations towards the objective of profitability maximization, then I would say it would be turnaround time. At real-time level, you monitor how your goods are moving towards your factories and outside your factories. And this turnaround time, typically various organizations have within premise turnaround time monitoring system. So within premise, you calculate internal movement, loading, unloading, this and that. However, when the vehicles go out, then on road, how they are moving, how my customer is taking up the material. We have cases where material goes to the customer and it waits. And then how quickly your material is again taken from the premise and then goes forward to the customer. So movement of the goods which have been produced as per the plan, as per the forecast, as per your optimization tool, ensures that your cash flow is happening regularly. And that cash flow will eventually ensure that your profitability is maximized. And obviously, a larger metric we talked about, I think, on time in full during the presentation. So this one single factor will further ensure that your on time in full deliveries are happening. On a larger scale, if we talk about the canvas is very wide. And this canvas would include how for example, there is a batch process in the manufacturing, whether the process parameters are being followed fully, but that would go into the domain of your manufacturing optimization to that extent. But if we keep it to supply chain optimization, for example, so the single factor I attribute the biggest value to is turnaround time.
Thank you, sir. We come to the fifth part, and this is more about technologies and tools which can be used to streamline supply chain processes and thereby increase companies' profitability. Dr. Warren talked about some of them, but if you can briefly answer this part, and then I would like to also take another perspective, more from a client perspective. So from a chemical company, so we wanted to see, is there a mismatch between what the solution providers are providing and what what chemical companies are utilizing? So first from Dr. Warren and then Dr. Prashanta Gupta.
Right. So, I did talk a little bit about this digitization, automation, optimization, and collaboration, but there's also the integration of different synergistic technologies. So being able to link planning and scheduling down to the execution level, having that real-time feedback of the production schedule, what's actually happening on the plant floor, and being able to respond to it in a very agile method. The other integration aspect is, tools such as predictive maintenance and prescriptive maintenance systems that are looking at process sensors, equipment sensors, and trying to predict, many weeks or even months in advance of when that equipment is going to fail, and pulling that into the production schedule and optimizing when is the best time to take that maintenance downtime to prevent that unplanned equipment failure. So it's integration of technologies like this that really are driving value with customers. Also maintaining those digital supply chain twin models for planning and scheduling, and having them accurate, maintained evergreen, and accurately keeping in sync with what can actually be done on the plant floor and throughout the supply network. Having that feedback process to calibrate these models automatically and in real time. So there are a number of other technologies and tools that can really drive value in addition to just the straight planning and scheduling capabilities.
So over to Dr. Prashant.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question and very close to my heart. See, there's a tool available, RTMI, real-time manufacturing indicators. And this we have just implemented. It's in the implementation phase, which shows us how that, as against your plan, against the life cycle of that, say, the particular equipment or the batch timeline and all, how it is behaving. And those are different sensors are put in different places of the, manufacturing process. That gives you the predictive, before anything goes wrong, before that it starts throwing the, signals where we should look into. The second part is that technology can really do miracles in this by giving us the signals before anything happens. Like when, I am again bringing back the inventory portion. So what component or the part or the material you should have been stocked, if it is not there in place, how can you proactively work on this? That can also derive from the systems, from the tools. They will give us through this light. Some other part, the life cycle analysis when you do, life cycle costing when you do, we have consideration of life for all the equipment, machineries and all. Are those behaving in the right mode it should be? If it is not, then what proactive action we need to take? The data analytics here, even RPA, robotic process automation. How can that SSS, yes, something is going wrong somewhere, and it throws the information. AI, ML, everybody talks. But why? What is AI? Can it work of its own? ML, can it work of its own? Probably no, until and unless that maturity in the data I already mentioned earlier. Until and unless we bring that confidence in the system, then that may lead us to our disaster. Probably one more technology we normally don't talk, and this forum also we have never spoken, it's blockchain. The blockchain technology, if we adopt that one, it right at this moment not being used widely, but this can capture and nobody can alter. There is no threat of any alteration of data. So this gives you, even if that is merged with the ML, which is the analytics part based on the analysis, data analysis, that gives you when you're supposed to do what, and gives you, and that may be linked to it, the automated system of procurement or even the logistics that can link all other associated systems and can unlock a lot of values for the organizations.
Thank you, sir. We come to the last question, which is about how are you improving operational efficiency in your organization by enabling quicker decision-making across companies' supply chain processes? So I need short answers from all of you. First from Munish Rathi ji. then Arun Salvi ji, and Dr. Prasanta Gupta. Short answers so that we can then take Q&A. Over to Mr. Munish Rathi.
Oh, great. I think, yes, quick decision making is the key to achieving the best in class results, so to say. So, first of all, the organization DNA is very, very important to achieve anything like this. We have to believe into empowering people, and this empowerment happens through structured mechanism. You have some delegation of authority, etc., etc. But digital is a great tool to empower. The accessibility of the information, first of all, has to go to people. Suppose to connect the end-to-end sales and operation planning, our frontline salespeople need to have the access to, for example, inventory data available when they are committing anything to any customer for the spot sales, just to give an example. So using digital as an enabling tool and having that DNA in the organization to empower people who are actually bringing the tangible impact is something, a combination of the two helps in improving these efficiencies in the entire supply chain process. Thank you.
Arunji, your views?
Yeah, I think the trick part of this question is, of course, of taking the right decision and also the quick one in time. And that's where the difference would come in, that if one is given all the time to really make a right decision, then the answer to that question or the solution to that problem will definitely be different. And time or agility coupled with collaborative process, which could depend on both internal and external stakeholders within the organization. It could be your vendors, it could be your service providers. Internal to the organization, it could be both your business and sales team. So coupled with, so these two form the good recipe, I would say, for taking a right decision. One part, of course, is when we talk about the IBP process, I think the most basic ingredient, I would say, or the most number one part is a very, very strong sponsorship to the continued sponsorship, I would say, to the process. Having implemented something like what Warren has talked about end to end, I think taking that through the time in terms of the process helps you. While you can have a digital platform, you can have control towers, that kind of sets basically some things for measuring and decision making. But we constantly face newer problems which the system is not designed for. And therefore, both nurturing, empowering the talent pipeline, ensuring that the people are capable and have the tools to make decisions, I think become very important. One such area which Mr. Munish Rathi talked about is the whole talk about turnaround time or asset utilization, as we talked about. I think that's something which is still left out while we talked about collaborative supply chains, and that's collaboration across supply chains. That's one part. And the second part of operational efficiency definitely comes out of safety. And I think that's one part which didn't get touched here, is safety has a direct impact on the operational efficiency, because you may have a safety issue and you may have a shutdown, planned, unplanned, or which could be both for your inbound, outbound, or manufacturing operation. I think that would be my quick sum, Pravinji, for this particular question.
Dr. Prasanta, your last view.
Yes. So I'll just say some bullets. It's, of course, first thing is the collaboration, then the empowerment with end-to-end accountability. People should be accountable to be empowered. And the cost benefit based analysis. We are learning from our business partners, from our suppliers or contractors, what solution they also, and for the win-win purpose, and incentivize them for quicker decision making. Then the listening organization. That listening builds a culture of trust in the organization. And I will just quickly refer Dr. Ronald Coase. He's a British Nobel laureate, British economist. He derived the cost of trust is as high as 33%. If we have built the trust in the organization among the supply chain, that reduces the cost by 33%. So quicker decision making can build that, bring that, unlock that cost.
Thank you, Dr. Prashanto. And I would like to thank all my speakers slash panelists for coming here and also addressing us. We will take some questions. I would request Munish ji if you can be there for 1 or 2 questions. I know you have to move out. So the first question I'm addressing to him, it's about Mr. Anuj Parashar is talking about how AI can play a role in optimizing inventory and economic order quantity. There is also a question related to blockchain, and I think Dr. Prashanto Gupta is doing a PhD or has already done PhD in blockchain. So he would be the right person to talk about technology integration in terms of blockchain. And I would request Arun ji if he can talk about the green practices in the petrochemical part slash chemical in the current scenario. And the another question to Munish ji would be AI integration in the field and application in it. This is from Nitin Mahajan from chemical industry and Mr. Anuj Parashar. So over to Nitin ji, Munish ji for the question on AI.
Great. So because so much we are listening about AI in various ways. In some ways, I think AI into manufacturing, into chemical manufacturing, into inventory optimization, in one way or the other, I would say it has been existing. Things are becoming more structured now. But limiting to the question that has been asked, every organization is sitting on plethora of data. And this data is all about having it in the right form, right formats, the right periodicity, the right frequency, and building upon it to take the right decision. For example, one thing that we do is some of the products that are sold in the market are seasonal products. And certain chemicals that we make are used for water purification purpose. Now, monsoon is starting, and all of a sudden the demand will go up significantly. And there was a lean period, for example, for last 3-4 months. Now, all this, we have our optimization tools in the organization, and all this data for many, many years is already part of these optimization tools. So the specific raw materials that we are supposed to procure, a very traditional way of doing this procurement planning is this having your safety stock, min-max item, this, that, and then we keep on doing it. Somebody by virtue of experience knows and understand that this is not a period where we need to buy it. And attrition keeps on happening in the industry. The right person suppose leaves at a right point in time, and we end up having a situation with higher inventory over there. But our tools help us with the help of this historical data analysis and regeneratively using this data to give these flags about maintaining the right levels for inventories. And the same goes on for the product side as well. In the manufacturing process you have asked about, so there are unit operations, and every unit operation can be optimized using certain process parameters. So in some cases, we have something called golden batch, for example. The golden batch, the best and narrowest range of process parameters to get the right productivity as well as the best quality of the finished product that we have. Now, using all the instrumentation and techniques, we can operate certain unit operations in closed loop. These are the decisions which are being taken on the basis of cost benefit analysis, as Prashanta had been highlighting. So it is not replicated blindly across all the processes, but in certain processes, these do make sense. And all these closed operations are nothing but using AI in a way to have the right parameters to get the best productivity and best product quality.
Uh,
Yeah.
One more additional question is from Mukesh Bani. We produce salt, but it's difficult to manage that because of high volumes. You talked about high volume in your presentation because of the chlor-alkali part of it. So I think you would be the right person to answer this, Mr. Munish Rathi ji.
Yeah. So anything produced in this fashion, in a natural fashion, can be a tricky thing. I am not sure what exactly the person wants to highlight when they say that it is difficult to manage. But yes, salt also is a seasonal product.
Okay.
This, for example, today, as we speak in the month of May and June, this is the best season to produce salt. And then for 4 months, there will be zero production. The person who is here listening and they are into salt production, they will be sitting on pile of salt for this period when the rain would be happening. But the good part is that the consumption will happen continuously. So when the consumption is happen continuously, at least people should not be worried about liquidation of it. So it is not a uniformly produced and uniformly consumed product. It will see its cycle, it will see its ups and downs, but the product keeps on moving. I would say anybody producing salt is sitting at a sweet spot right now because the demand is much more than supply and the prices are also all-time high. So it is a problem I would personally say I would be happy to be into.
Thank you, sir. And I think Mukesh ji is out here and he's also responding to your answers that you are giving. Dr. Prashanta, if you can talk about.
Sorry, Pravin, with your permission and with the permission of other panelists, I would like to exit because I have a commitment at 4:30 and I am already 4 minutes late.
Okay, sir. Many thanks for coming to our panel for the first time. I request you to join for whenever we do such things because this is more informative and it is very helpful for the delegates who have joined in from different parts of India. Thank you once again, sir.
Thanks,
It's
Manish.
absolute pleasure.
It was good
Thank
learning
you.
for me as well.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant. Great connecting with all of you.
Your question with respect to blockchain and then to Arun Salvi ji for the green part, and Warren would be talking about what software you're using for planning and scheduling ISMSP or PC effective. So first to Dr. Prashanta.
So what exactly is the question in the blockchain? Please, can you repeat?
The question is just a minute.
I couldn't trace it out in the chat.
Technology integration in terms of blockchain technology.
Okay. It's a great question.
Blockchain part.
Right. So basically, the blockchain can integrate any number of technologies, even the decisions and the activities. So here, if AI, if you talk about the artificial intelligence, what does artificial intelligence do? Artificial intelligence works on the, as I mentioned earlier, it works on the data are available with us. All these data, if it is through blockchain, there cannot be any alteration. Nobody can temper the data. So that data integrity remains intact throughout the life cycle and whatever the number of years you want. Once you analyze the data, see, there are two different things. One is the analysis, data analytics. Both are not same, both are completely different. Data analysis works on the lagging indicators, and the data analytics. Analysis brings us to analytics, which is the leading indicator, and the ML, the machine learning, which forecasts what could be the probable solutions, what could be the probable directions, worst case, the best case, and the moderate one, or any number of combination you can create. If it is through blockchain, once again, that remains as a integrator with the AI. And when you implement some part of it or the whole part of it, the results are also captured in the blockchain. in one system, all this integrated data, the results and everything is in place, and that becomes a futuristic model for you. You can work on that. So this gives the protection so far as for the, and anybody can check that one with having that key in place. We have to exercise through this private key and the public key. That is the construction part of blockchain. I'm not going into that. But coming to your specific question, say integration, it's a very, very safe technology to integrate any these digital technologies that will further add value to your outcome and the processes what you would like to take.
Thank you, Dr. Prashanta. Over to Mr. Arun or Salvi, and it is about green practices with respect to supply chain.
Yeah. So green practices with respect to supply chain. Actually, this is a topic which would actually kind of demand a separate forum, I would say, but I will take the question and quickly cover it, given that today we are really talking about planning optimization and AspenTech and the whole product line. Overall, clearly a new area for most supply chain professionals, and of course, a lot of work has been done by most industries. And sustainability, green logistics, one needs to, all aspects on all parts of the organization need to move ahead very clearly in terms of objectives. Within us, within every organization, there is a green product line, especially with us. There are products basically which are either recycled with specific applications. We have Recron Green Gold. We have a Railwood, which kind of replaces plywood. So I would say every organization would have opportunities to present opportunities with respect to a product line, which could be in line with the green objectives of sustainability. Coming more closely to supply chain and logistics, given that a good part of goods movement happens, and that's where alternative fuels, basically a wide variety are coming with respect to options available. And all of these are maturing in a way. I would say when we look at forward thinking in terms of change and transition for professionals to come in the coming time to manage this transition from your current fleet, and Munish is not here now, but he talked about this whole turnaround time. Today, for the normal trucks which are run on the current fuels, we kind of don't focus on this whole aspect of turnaround and optimization. And then when we have your EVs and vehicles which are currently the capex cost for your service provider is almost 5 to 6 times higher, and it will continue to be higher, even though not at that levels in the near future. Then transporting your vehicles, detaining your vehicles outside your manufacturing locations for want of material or at the customer premises is a issue which currently is not often discussed, but will come big time in the coming future. Because turnaround of these vehicles and asset utilization, number of kilometers run, which we talk about in this country, only when we talk about a dedicated corridor and the number of kilometers traveled by a truck has gone up substantially compared to 20 years back. I think that will be a very, very big parameters of operational efficiency, which we all talked about to measure in the coming days. Having said that, especially in the two-wheeler, three-wheeler and the last mile segment, a lot of industries are already transitioned into. We don't believe it, but the change on the ground is moving at a very fast pace. And especially by the time it comes to heavy vehicles, where most of us would be really interested, that's something basically, is one of the key pillars of risk management we all have to transition to. I'll take a stop there, Pravin.
Thank you, Arunji. Dr. Warren, the question is what software you are using for paneling and scheduling, or what would you recommend? Is MSP or P6 effective?
As we saw in the presentation, AspenTech provides a full suite of planning and scheduling solutions. We've been developing it for the process industries for the last 40 years. continuously investing in it, enhancing it, adding new capabilities, new technologies where it makes sense and provides benefit to our customers. We do realize that our clients may have other supply chain modules in place from other vendors, and we work with those solutions that are in place. We have ways to integrate to them. So if you have a forecasting solution, we can integrate that into our planning and scheduling solutions. Or if you have a planner already in place, we can work forecasting and scheduling into that. So we understand that you may not have a homogeneous supply chain solution environment, and we have our technologies is able to integrate to those other vendor solutions as necessary. With that, I'm going to have to drop because I have another meeting that I'm late for.
One more question.
Yeah.
I think we are also planning to come to the end of the session.
Okay.
So this was with respect to how are you addressing challenges like change data, CDC, lack of timestamps, data quality, data variety, absence of validation mechanism in Excel, and master data management. Despite significant efforts, system integration projects in this domain haven't met industry expectation. So your last views, and then we will wind up by what we can say announcing the winners, and then a note from my side.
Yeah. So that the whole data integration environment ecosystem is probably another 2 or 3 seminars on their own, but we do realize there are issues in data as it's coming into supply chain solutions. We've set up certain automated data validation routines, both on the import side as well as into the model, to ensure that accurate data is being brought into the planning and scheduling solutions. Where there's bad data, missing data, incorrect data, we highlight those issues, and either the IT team in charge of integration or the data that's coming from the source systems needs to be fixed. But yes, it is an important issue. You've got to have good data coming in to produce good answers in your plans and schedules. So I think a lot of effort needs to be put on how and where the data is coming from, how you standardize the representation, and also put in that integral layer of being able to connect to the different data sources and consolidate and aggregate that data appropriately. So thank you very much.
So I would like to thank all my panelist speakers, Mr. Munish Rathi, CMO, Chlor Alkali India Business, Aditya Birla Group, Mr. Arun Salvi, Head Supply Chain, Petchem Reliance Industries Limited, Dr. Prasanta Gupta, Chief Procurement Officer and Executive Vice President, Aarti Industries Limited, Dr. Warren or Becraft, Senior Principal Solution Consultant, AspenTech, and all our delegates who participated in this e-conference for the last 90 minutes or so. It is almost now 100 minutes. Let me thank all, or let me announce the winners now. The winners are the first question was with respect to AspenTech has solutions to address which of the following planning horizons, and the winner is Manisha Bhargava from Reliance Industries Limited. The second was Sales and Operation Planning, SNOP, and IBP cover which of the following supply chain activities, and this was given by Diksha Gazre from Jubilant Ingrevia Limited. The third was what is the difference in the objectives between planning and scheduling, and the answer is Krishna Gandhi from Anar Chemicals LLP. The fourth is Sales and Operation Execution, SNOE involves which teams, and here the winner is Mr. Vijay Khapadde from KJ Somaya College of Engineering. The last one was with respect to optimization of a production schedule tries to meet which of the following objectives, and the answer, the correct answer has been given by, and the winner is Mr. Abhiram Alurkar from DFPCL. So let me thank all my delegates and the winners who participated. We would be arranging these say webinars or e-conferences on a regular note. Another e-conference would be on sustainability, which we are planning to do end of July. We will inform you through our website. What we can say, we will cover this event, and you can also have a look at Indian Chemical News. We will also put after editing the video, we will put it on our website. So that also you can have a look. I would like to thank our presenting partner, AspenTech, and also our technology partner, EZBiz, for helping us to run this very smoothly. And once again, I would like to thank all my speakers for devoting time, especially despite the busy schedule, and trying to answer as many questions as possible. We will try, if our speakers permit us, if we will try to answer the remaining part of the questions which are still pending, and I see it on the chat window. And with this, let me thank you once again. And this is Pravin Prashant signing off from New Delhi.